Hello and welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Glad that you could join us for another segment. In this segment, we're going to be talking with Dr. Terry Lindsay, founder of BrainMatterZ, and she's joining us to discuss brain optimization and cognitive training that can greatly improve performance. Welcome to the program, Dr. Lindsay. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're the founder of BrainMatterZ. Give our listeners a bit of background about yourself. What exactly is your area of expertise?
Well, I have a background in psychology and special ed. I taught for probably 20 years. I don't want to give away my age here, Neil, but I taught for a long time. And then I have an education psychology license and then a neuropsych certificate. So, a lot of education psychology background, a lot of background with kids.
Brain optimization. What exactly is brain optimization and how does it work to improve performance?
So we train the brain like an athlete would train for excellence, okay? So let's say tennis, for example, okay? So in tennis, you have fundamental skills that you must have in order to be successful on the court, right? Mm-hmm. You have to have a forehand and a backhand and a serve. Well, in learning, there are fundamental skills that need to be there and be optimized in order for you to be successful in the classroom or actually really in life. So those fundamental skills are things like attention, right? Being able to pay attention, that's a secret sauce for learning. Visual processing speed, how quickly you can take in what you see. Auditory processing, how you take in what you hear. Memory. And then, of course, executive functioning skills. Those are the frontal lobe, that usually doesn't mature until the late 20s. Mm-hmm. So all of those are fundamental skills that kids need to be successful in the classroom. And if even one of those is not working optimally, then learning can become hard. And if it becomes hard, then they don't want to do it.
So how do you optimize each of those skills, or is it a matter of optimizing them all at once?
So it takes about 20 to 30 hours to optimize a particular area, okay, and which is not a lot of time, really, if you think about it, because it's kind of a game changer for kids. So we have certain activities that we use that target each of those areas, and they're fun, right? They're up on balance boards. They're doing brain cards. We're timing them to desensitize them to being timed and things like that. So we've all these activities that we go through, just like an athlete would go through fundamental activities and drills in practice to prepare for a sport. So we do those, and it takes about 20 to 30 hours to retrain the brain.
Now, I heard you mention brain card. What is a brain card?
So brain cards come under the area of card categorization, and we've known for years that can speed up visual processing speed, but no one was really doing anything with that research. So I developed these cards, and they have different letters on them, different shapes, different numbers, different colors, and then some pictures. Well, when we first start out, they have to categorize them as quickly as they can into numbers, or what we call digits. And then they have to pick them up, shuffle them, and then this time they have to recategorize them into colors, and then into shapes, and so on and so forth. And so, you have a lot of cognitive flexibility going on. You have eye-hand. You're speeding up their processing speed. We're timing them, writing down their times, and then they have to beat their own times each time. So the brain loves immediate feedback, so they're getting that when they're doing the cards. The cards are actually one of their favorite things to do. The kids really like them.
How long-lasting is the optimization effect? Is it something that you need to do for the rest of your life? Is it something that you need to do, just before you start a particular task?
So kids are in school, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're like an athlete in season for 10 months of the year, at least, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if it were you or me, we would have to maintain this because we're not in school. But once the kids go through 20 or 30 hours, then you're putting them right back in school, so they're using those skills like an athlete would in season. So we have about 5 or 6 years out of research where, you know, kids go through 20 or 30 hours and then never come back again, just be completely fine. In fact, we have very few kids that come back unless it's just for a booster. You know, they'll come back and say, hey, you know, there was so much improvement, we'd like to do a booster in August right before school starts. And they come back maybe for a 2-hour booster or something. But it really holds. But again, for adults are not in school, so we have to actually maintain that process. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Once you have this cognitive kind of an edge from the optimization, what about maintaining that? Is this something that you say, you know, we're not in school, but is this something that you can maintain as long as you're in some type of training environment?
I think so. And then, of course, as we age, you know, certain skill sets we don't use as much. And, you know, so, but, you know, like I do the brain cards every day myself, and I know there are a lot of professional quarterbacks that do brain cards to keep their eye-hand going. You know, we're going to use certain skills in our work, and we're not going to use others. So I think it's just kind of important to kind of focus on the skills that we're not using on a daily basis, right? Because it's the things, like the things that we do every day that creates our destiny, right?
Let's talk about BrainMatterZ. Give our listeners a website where we can get more information about BrainMatterZ. Do you have different labs throughout the country? Do you go into schools at different levels? What exactly does BrainMatterZ get into?
What does that look like? Okay. So we have several ways to experience BrainMatterZ. So we have what we call brain labs that we run all summer. We run at Stanford, UCLA, Kate School, Sierra Canyon School, lots of different schools in the area. And we're just now getting on the East Coast. We also run it in India. So we have different brain labs, and a brain lab intensive would be 5 days of 4 hours a day. And then they get their 20 hours in. So that's one way to do it in an intensive form. You can also schedule private sessions to get the 20 or 30 hours. I go into schools sometimes and do what we call an academy for new freshmen or new students coming in. And then some schools have actually paid me to come in and train their staff. Because they put the curriculum in the school because they wanted their kids, their students, to be able to train their brains and prepare for the rigor of some of the schools. So there's lots of ways. Our website is BrainMatterZ with a Z, BrainMatterZ.com, and all the locations are on the website, and the dates are on the website, and they can just go on the website and submit, and I get right back to them within the same day usually if I can.
Now, I understand that you're also an author. You authored the book Measuring Up, a guide to help students retain their brains for maximum academic capability. Where can our listeners get a copy of this book? And I understand it's been updated as well.
Yes, it's on Amazon, or they can go on the website. Either way, we updated the book with the clinical trials. So we've had the research. We had a lot of experience-based research first, and then we actually had Reno Medical School come in and do our clinical trials for us so that we'd have the research, which turned out great. So we have that in the book, and the book was written for parents because it's tough to navigate education, whether it's independent schools or public schools. It's tough for parents to navigate that and to know what to do and what not to do.
Well, Dr. Lindsay, I appreciate you joining us this morning on Health Professional Radio.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Neil. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in, download at SoundCloud, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com, Health Professional Radio.